Matthew Cruz joins us on this episode of What's Next, and I'm really excited to be talking to Matthew because Matthew is an energy expert and he's the head of business intelligence and public relations at Hohm Energy. And, energy is very much a topical subject right now. We're all looking for alternatives. In sunny South Africa, you're seeing everyone talking about solar. Obviously, there's generators, there's other forms of energy. But, the cleanest form out there is obviously solar. Matthew, welcome. It's great to have you with us. An energy expert, I'm curious, how does one become an energy expert? I imagine, you've got to study science and understand a little bit of engineering and that sort of thing pertaining to energy. But it's an interesting field. How does one become an energy expert?
Great, yeah. Thanks for having me on the show, and welcome to your listeners. And yeah, good to be here. So energy expert, the short story is that I called myself an energy expert on LinkedIn, and then when the news wanted me to come on and give some commentary about what's going on in the energy sector, they just looked at my LinkedIn profile and then called me an energy expert. And so then from then on, that was May last year, I've been operating as an energy expert in my personal capacity because the news said it's true that I'm an expert, then therefore I am one. But in terms of the backstory of how I became that energy expert on LinkedIn, I studied engineering at UCT. So a mixture of both mechanical and electrical engineering. And then I went and worked at Eskom for 11 years, straight after that. And I was in a range of different roles, but primarily engineering for 8 years. And the last 2.5 years at Eskom, I was then working as a management consultant, advising the board and C-suites of Eskom directly regarding the current state of Eskom and the future state of the energy sector. And I also wrote my MBA dissertation on that topic. It was interestingly titled Eskom, Too Big to Fail or Necessitated Change. So it was focusing on the current state of the energy sector and then the future state of where we're going towards. And we're seeing that necessitated change actually being forced change now because of the energy crisis we find ourselves in. So that's the kind of background of how I got to become an energy expert. And now for the last year, I've been providing commentary and insights pretty much on a weekly basis on TV and radio news regarding all aspects of the energy sector.
Okay, well, listen, I think you've got it pretty comprehensively covered over there, and you do your MBA and this stuff, and you've worked at Eskom, and you've done electrical engineering. You know your stuff. You can call yourself an energy expert. So well done. I think it's brilliant, and it's great. I'm looking forward to chatting to you because, everybody tries to understand energy, but, energy sounds simple, but it's actually quite complex when you start analyzing it, and it's dangerous if you do it the wrong way in this country. So tell us a little bit about your company, Hohm Energy. What is your mission? And you guys are really focused in that renewable energy market, right?
That's correct, yes. So Hohm Energy's mission is to accelerate the clean energy transition globally in the fight against climate change. And we're starting in South Africa with that by providing solar installations, primarily for residential purposes, for homes, but also for businesses. And the way in which we provide solar installations is quite interesting. We've taken a very different approach. We are aiming, and we are the Uber of solar in the country, and we're looking to expand globally to become the Uber of solar globally. And what that means is we have a range of financial partners that we've partnered with. So the banks, they've partnered with us to provide financial assistance and financing for solar installations. We've also got a range of vetted installation teams that perform the installations, but they don't work full-time for Hohm Energy. They are vetted installers that we partner with. And then we also partnered with the major suppliers in the country. So Rubicon and Herholz that are typically business-to-business suppliers, but we take the big stock from them on bulk, and then we deliver the equipment to sites for then the installation teams that we partner with to do the installation. So in that sense, we're not a finance. We're not a solar installation company. We're also not a supplier. We're not also a market aggregator, but we've partnered with all of these different stakeholders to then, as an ecosystem platform, provide quality installations for people at their homes. And we have a best price quality guarantee. So if anyone can come to us with a quote that's, for instance, using SunSync, we guarantee that we can beat that quote or match that quote. And that's through our
Interesting.
unique...
So it's almost like energy as a service, Matthew. Would you say it's when you look at the IT sector, everything is as a service. Is this energy as a service?
So I would say we're software as a service in terms of our platform, because any company can come and partner with us and use our platform as a white labeled solar quotation process on their website. So I'd say our platform is software as a service, but I wouldn't say we're solar as a service, because that really talks to renting the service as an option. Whereas we're more interested in, instead of having a forever contract like some other players in the sector, we're more interested in providing financing over either 6 years, as example, through Motor Finance Corporation, through our partnership with Nedbank, or over longer term, which is upcoming. I can't really talk too much about that detail, but longer terms to make it more affordable for people, so that you actually own the system afterwards, after you've had the system for a bit, kind of rent to own type of model, or we can assist with a home loan extension for solar and sorting that out to the bank so that we can do the installation, adding it to your home loan. So that's, we're a solar installation service. Okay, so you can call it that.
Okay. All right. So we know a little bit about Hohm Energy now. Apart from the solar installation companies, and obviously there's a lot of people out there, and you're hearing some really horrific stories about installations that have not been turning out as promised. How do you ensure quality and reliability in your service to your customers?
Great. So we have many steps that we go through in order to ensure quality and good service. So first of all, the risks that we've been hearing about of fires taking place, of equipment, of batteries exploding, and incorrect inverters not working with the grid and then causing a fire in the home. That risk is mitigated by us only sticking to tier 1 quality equipment that comes solar equipment. So what we're talking about when we're talking about tier 1 inverters and batteries are products that have a warranty for at least 10 years. So on the inverters and the batteries. And that means that we stick exclusively to lithium-ion batteries, and we stick to brands that are trusted and are classified as tier 1 with Life Pro 4 technology. So that means that they've got a 10-year warranty on their performance. And if there's any issues that happen with the battery will get replaced. But by using those batteries, we then guarantee that, okay, we can't actually have an explosion because it's the correct battery that we're using, paired with the correct inverters. And now the inverters as well, we always use inverters that are tier 1 and also comply with the inverter lists that are provided from municipalities. And that's a very important aspect for listeners to think about when they're thinking about installation, is check your local municipality to see if they've got an approved inverter list. It's very easy to find. In Cape Town, you just kind of Google approved inverters, City of Cape Town, and it'll give you a list of the inverters that are approved. And that's very important, because we're actually seeing a lot of installations that we're correcting here in Cape Town by having to replace the inverter and then also the batteries, because there was an initial very cheap off-grid inverter that's not on the approved list, that was just given by a Bucky Brigades type of installer coming and offering the possible solution. That unfortunately, while it looks great to have a cheap solution, it's very dangerous to have an installation done by a company that isn't focusing on quality and that isn't approved, that isn't vettable, and that you can't return to if your installation stops. So that's the supply side. That's the products we use, the best quality products. And in terms of how those products are installed, we have a strict vetting process for the installation teams that join Hohm Energy and that partner with us, that then do the installation of the equipment. And we guarantee, the buck stops with Hohm Energy, which is interesting. That's the business model that has really got us connecting with the banks, that we take responsibility on nationwide installations. The buck stops with us. So for example, if there is, for some reason, an installation team that we've partnered with that isn't doing a great job, we'll actually take them off the job and then use another different installation team to then make sure that the installation is done to a good quality standard. And then we'll inspect the installation afterwards to confirm it has been installed correctly, and all of the, for instance, the cabling is not lying in gutters. We see a lot of that. Cabling just incorrectly just lying in gutters, getting trailed all the way to the inverter, that the cabling has actually got its own housing, that the certificate of compliance has been written and approved, and that the municipality SSEG small scale embedded generation application has been applied and approved as well at the municipality. And without that, interestingly, at the moment it's not happening, Without that, the municipality is going to come and turn off your power if you've got installed an incorrect inverter, or you've done an installation and not approved through the certificate of compliance or through the SCG process with the municipality. They'll actually come and turn off your power because now you've done technically an illegal installation. And that's something interesting that we really not be aware of, that we take account of that risk upfront before it comes to that kind of issue, by making sure that our quality process is followed for each installation.
Very interesting. So it's quite a thorough process, and so it should be, because you know, it's a dangerous thing. Lithium-ion batteries are dangerous, and obviously the installation. You think that you have one panel creating energy, and that's coming in at, I think, DC, if I'm correct in saying, you know, DC energy I've seen in action, and I'm scared of DC. You know, you've got to be careful of it. Now, Hohm's Energy Solar Marketplace solution, you know, for work and also all these kind of things, there are distinct advantages for customers who choose to go through your platform. What would you say those advantages are? I like the fact that you said that you guys ultimately take responsibility at the end of the day for the installation and making sure that it's working throughout the warranty period of it. You know, what other reasons should customers choose you guys?
Great. So the first reason is we've got that best quality or price guarantee. So if anyone can come to us with a quote that's, for instance, using something products, we guarantee that we can meet or beat that quote from our side. And so that's point number one. And to just quickly dive into how we can do that, when we've got these big suppliers that are supplying, usually B2B, but supplying us, we can get amazing discounts on the volume of products that we're ordering from them. And so we're ordering on bulk from big suppliers, and we can then pass that saving along to the clients. So, you know, we're getting the products, the tier one products at a really good price on bulk, and then we distributing individually to the clients. And with that, through that method, we're able to beat most, or pretty much, you know, we can beat all the competition in terms of our price. So price and quality guarantee, that's a big aspect that we've been focusing on, because that seems to be what's important primarily to the consumer. Then we need to make sure that you're getting a quality installation that's not adding risk to your house. In terms of a poor quality installation has a risk of creating fires and damaging your house. And also then you're not being able to sell your house on insurance not paying out because you didn't get your certificate of compliance confirmed or rewritten, and you also didn't do your application to the municipality. There's lots of risks involved with that. So we go and we confirm that all of the checks and balances and the requirements from governments and local government side have been correctly performed. And we walk that journey with the customer. So we have a handover deck, and we hand over all of the papers that show here's your compliance, here's your SCG application. Also, if they take a service offering where a service plan very similar to a car service plan, we offer that as well, which is quite unique in the sector, where we then provide service of your solar installation with the biannual clean of the solar panels, and also constant quarterly reports and updating of the settings on the system. And you'll be familiar with that, Aki, from your own solar system, where in winter there's different requirements on settings than opposed to summer, because you want to make sure in winter that even though you are using your battery at night to power your home that's been charged up from the day from solar, you also want to make sure that you can also accommodate for any kind of 4-hour load shedding that's going to take place during the night as well. So your battery needs to be changed a little bit. So we'll do that as well on our side on a quarterly basis, update your battery setting to make sure that your system's running optimally. And so those are the three reasons that I would say is that, first of all, we have a best quality price guarantee. Second of all, we make sure that your installation is safe and complies to all of the legislature and legal requirements. And then we also make sure that your system is functioning and running, and we can offer a service package, which is quite unique in the marketplace.
So Matthew, I mean, with your time that you spent working at Eskom, and you know your studies that you've completed in this field, which is you've done your MBA in electrical engineering, it's certainly very fascinating to see where we are as a country. And I'm just seeing this massive transformation happening with regards to alternative energies, and quite interestingly, and I'm sure you look at different case studies as well. I was looking at these power outages in Tshwane happening recently. I mean, I had friends there who didn't have power for days, and it was a nightmare. They just threw food away, and of course there were those that had solar and were living as normal as they could, but they had the energy to keep everything going. And you must have looked at that. It's quite interesting when you look at those situations and how you see solar energy playing and alleviating South Africa's energy crisis. Is solar firstly the answer to our energy crisis?
So I would say that it is the answer, and I strategically placed myself in this kind of situation within the marketplace, because I can see that actually the problem is not going to be resolved from the government downwards providing power to the people. It's actually going to be from the ground upwards, having each individual home and business getting their own energy needs taken care of from a solar installation, and then being able to feed into the grid and provide power for the nation themselves after having invested in their own solar installation. So we saw this recently take place in Vietnam as a case or business case or example, where they incentivized 9 gigawatts or 9,000 megawatts of solar coming onto the grid within 6 months. And to put that into context, that's 9 stages of load shedding that's accounted for by that program that the Vietnam government ran out. And all they did in that case is they offered a 20-year feed-in tariff for each kilowatt hour that you feed into the grid as a homeowner. So the feed-in tariff, it's being discussed in South Africa, hasn't really been confirmed as yet. NERSA at one point proposed 79 cents per kilowatt hour, but very differently in Vietnam, they offered a solar feed-in tariff that was above the market price of electricity at the time. So it was R1.42 when they offered it in June 2020, and the price of electricity at the time was like R1.35. So if you can do that in South Africa, just talk about a solution. You could incentivize over 6 months, 9,000 megawatts coming onto the grid. If you can give a solar feed-in tariff that's guaranteed above the price of electricity. But apart from that, we're seeing that without even needing to be incentivized, there's just excessive demand that's in the country at the moment for solar. So excessive demand because primarily of the load shedding energy crisis that we're finding ourselves in, and the consistent load shedding that we're having. People are desperate to become grid adjacent or not become reliant on Eskom for their energy. And why I would say grid adjacent instead of off grid, that's something interesting to just talk about quickly if we've got time. We don't recommend going completely off grid and disconnecting from Eskom completely, because the cost involved is about 3 times more than just taking care of 80% or 90% of your energy needs at home. So when you're disconnected completely from Eskom, if you have cloud cover for 3 weeks, what are you going to do then in terms of getting energy? So you need to have a battery that's 3 times the size than your current installation at home, for example, and also solar panels that's 3 times more than you would just take care of 80% of your energy needs. When you become grid adjacent and you get an installation that's grid tied, that's what we refer to a grid tied solution. You still have your connection to Eskom, but instead of your bill being 2,000 Rand a month, it goes down by 80% down to about 400 Rand a month, because you're only using a little bit of energy to top up in the evenings sometimes, or top up when there's been cloud cover for 3 days. And through that way, you can have the best price for service working out that, a cost is about 150,000 Rand for 5 kilowatt hour system, 5 kilowatts system for a house. That's grid adjacent, but if you're going to take care of that house fully off grid, it'll be about 450,000 or 500,000 Rand when you disconnect from Eskom. So we do recommend keeping that lifeline and not being off grid, but being grid tied. And that's the recommendation from our side in terms of solar installations.
Look, at the end of the day, it's all about finance, right? Because these systems aren't cheap, but when you start offsetting the cost and you look at the quality of life and the repayment period, etc. over time, you understand the independence of having your own energy is a good thing. How does Hohm Energy facilitate the financing options for customers who are looking to invest in solar systems, and what kind of financial packages are available?
Great. So right now, our most exciting financial package that is available, financial product, is through our partnership with Nedbank Motor Finance Corporation. And what that looks like is an asset-backed financing product. So it's very similar to motor finance that many people are familiar with, and it's actually almost a copy of the motor financing model, just applied for solar. So it will typically be a 6-year, over 6 years product that you will then pay a monthly installation to without any kind of down payment, and through that you will get the financing for 6 years, and after you paid off the monthly installments for 6 years, you then own the solar system, which interestingly has a lifespan of about 20 years. So when you look at the solar panels, their guarantee is typically 20 to 25 years in terms of their warranty. They can get replaced if they're not working within that period. So that means that they have a life then of 25 years to 30 years in terms of the solar panels and their functionality. In terms of the batteries and inverters, with a 10-year warranty, you then can expect a life of 12 or 15 years on the battery and inverter. And you can always just replace those at the time, then it's going to be much cheaper to replace those as well. So when you're looking at the total return on investments it's that 150,000 rand system that I mentioned, you would look at a 4 times plus return on investments, which is very interesting on that system. And how I can explain that, after the first 5 years, you can expect to have your ROI, your return on investment, for that 150,000 rand in terms of savings on your electricity bill, because you're taking care of about 80 to 90% of your electricity needs. You're now no longer spending that money on electricity to Eskom. And as we're seeing, Eskom is increasing their price of electricity exponentially going forward, starting with the big increase that happened this year that people will be feeling, and then going forward as well. We haven't heard past next year, but I can guarantee you it's also going to be a double figure awarded to Eskom, because they're going towards a cost reflective energy tariff. So with the escalating price of electricity, the electricity that you'll be offsetting by getting your installation means that within 5 years you'll have paid off your investment, but now your investment lasts for another 20 years. So that's a 4x plus investment, because that you're getting return on investment, because the price of electricity is going to continue increasing the whole time. And then you can factor in, after that, you're going to start feeding power into the grid, because you can tell from your batteries, they get full during the day, but then your solar panels still can produce power. And if you were able to feed the grid, then you can feed into the grid and get paid for that as well. So it makes the financial decision very good. And so that's the Motor Financing Corporation product. Then we have the solar home loans assistance that we can do. So any clients that are interested in adding the cost of the system to their bond, we can assist with, and that's interestingly the cheapest option. Even though it takes a little bit longer, it takes between a month and 2 to get confirmed, it's cheaper because it links up with the number of years remaining on your bond. So if you've got a 10-year plus number of years remaining on your bond, then the overall cost of the system per month will be less than the overall savings you get from your energy. So that makes it very profitable for you to by saying yes, you make immediate savings as a household on a month basis, because your savings, for instance, will be 1,600 rand on your electricity bill, but now you're only paying 1,400 rand more on your bond, for example. So home loans are very interesting, but there's limitations on the home loans where you need to have had the house for 5 years minimum. It seems like people move house every 7-8 years in South Africa on average. So there's a very small window then of number of people that can actually take up that offering. So therefore, that's why we have the range. Okay, we have Motor Finance Corporation, we have the home loans. There's additional financing options that are going to be announced soon within the marketplace, but I cannot give too much information as yet, but they're very much in the works and going to be offered soon. That'll offer more options for if you would like to have 10 years, 8 years, how long would you like for the financing, so that you can then start looking at your budget and seeing which is the best option for you for your budget.
Okay, well, that's great. I mean, you're certainly looking at every single angle that's out there that's available, and you're creating the bouquet of services and offerings that customers can look at. There are obviously many common misconceptions about solar energy. How do you address these misconceptions at Hohm Energy?
Great. So initially, there's a lot of education that goes into understanding what is the solar installation going to do for my house. So we start off just with educating what is solar energy, how does it work, why do I need a battery, how does it work with the battery being there, giving me power at night, but the solar panels giving me power during the day. So there's a lot of solar education that goes into educating people about the solar solution for the house. Then in terms of the risks and the questions that come in terms of what can go wrong, we have a lot of questions coming from people seeing that other installations that have taken place with their friend or on social media, they've had issues. So some of the issues that we can talk to that are not what we've already mentioned in terms of the risks of explosion is your solar installer not doing a good job. And we call them like the bucky brigade installers that have a bucky, they come, they do the installation, they try and do it very quick and very like slapdash manner by offering also the kind of cheapest possible solution with lead acid batteries or gel batteries. And then once they're done install, and they've gotten their money, then you can't get hold of them again. They've gone somewhere else, and now they're not even taking your calls or they're blocking your calls. And there's no recourse really in the industry or the sector to now go and force this solar installation bucky brigade company to come back and ensure that your installation is functioning correctly and smoothly. So there's lots of those concerns of what will happen if the installation is not working or if there's faults within the installation. And so then we also help the customer understand that at Hohm Energy, we take responsibility for the final quality of the installation, that we will be, first of all, use a vetted installation company that's responsible to Hohm, and we'll come and do an inspection afterwards to confirm that the installation has been done correctly, and then hand over the certificate of compliance and SCG application. And through that, us taking the responsibility, we're then able to talk to a lot of the fears and a lot of the questions that people have about how will this work, after I've paid over my money, who will be responsible? It's always Hohm Energy is responsible. So the buck stops with us, and that's why we've been able to get to the place we are within the marketplace within a few short years. We're the only company that has partnered with multiple banks in order to provide solar financing and solutions to their clients, and it's because of this kind of unique business model that we have, where we take the responsibility on our hands.
Okay, and when you look at the maintenance and support that customers can get, if something goes wrong. Do you have like a after hours number, for example? I know you mentioned you change and you adapt the installation based on the season of the year, because obviously the sun's setting earlier in winter, for example, so you make it sure that it runs at an optimum level. You mentioned something about cleaning the solar panels. That's something people don't do. There's dust that gathers, a thin film of dust that obviously affects the maximum capacity that the maximum energy capacity that those panels can get in. But tell us about what maintenance and support your customers can get from Hohm Energy.
Great. So there's two points that I'd like to chat about here. The one is if you take the service offering, and then if you don't take the service offering, so there's a service package that you can add to installation. It's very similar to a car service package, and in that, that's where we talk about we offer then 2 solar panel cleans per year, and ongoing monitoring of the system to make sure that the best performance settings have been implemented on your system. So, and then providing a quarterly report in terms of your system's performance and the ongoing optimization of efficiency within the system. So that's the service package that we'll get. And in terms of after hours number, what's nice about Hohm Energy is you get assigned an energy advisor that's your energy advisor then for the duration of your journey with us at home. So they'll start off with helping you understand the solar system, what is the best solution for you, and giving an engineer proposal. Then upon installation, that will be your go-to that you can go back to and say, well, my power is now not able to last more than 4 hours because the settings are like this. Please, can you change it? And then they'll sort that out for you. So there's always a person that you can contact that you've been in communication with and in a relationship with. You can go back to instead of trying through the front door, trying to get through to the service department, you've got the person that's walking with you. So there's that energy advisor that works with you and gives a lot of assistance that will be there for if you have the package or if you don't have the package. So without a service package, we still offer the service of servicing all of the warranties. So if there's any issues with the system, if there's anything that takes place with the system, so for instance, there's a massive hail storm that comes through and now your system's not working, we will then assist you in terms of getting it back up and running. And so that in that we then we're the port of call. Customers don't have to try and interact with SunSync or whoever the manufacturer was that provided the inverter or the battery or the panels, to try and argue with them or get a free replacement from themselves. We take that responsibility over and we say we'll sort it out, and then we pitch up with a replacement battery or inverter. And
all right. So I mean, you guys, that's important. It's very important that having that peace of mind that it's going to be working all the time is important.
Yes. Yeah. Very much so, and that's the big thing that we're seeing in the industry is it's almost getting a bad name, similar to the building industry, to homeland extensions. The solar industry is somewhat getting a bad name in that there's so many companies popping up and new installers coming and going from construction and doing home extensions and renovations. So now all of a sudden they're doing solar installations and they're solar installations, which is a very technical and needs a wireman's license to oversee. The customer isn't necessarily aware of all this. So then you just have this company coming and performing installation and then doing similar things to what we see in the home renovations sector, where they take kind of a big deposits and then they're gone, you don't see them anymore, or they offer the cheapest possible kind of knockoff products and gel batteries and lead-acid batteries, and then it looks amazing because now it's 80,000 Rand or 90,000 Rand instead of 150,000 Rand, so it makes a lot of sense, so go for it, and then you realize that the batteries only last a year and a half, or there's some issue and now you can't contact the person again. That's very much seen all over the place. And we interestingly, within the first 6 months, we had like 3 CEOs of big companies asking us to come and fix and sort out and then replace their own installations with the correct inverter and correct batteries, because they themselves had fallen victim to this situation within the sector of just getting any company to come in and doing the installation and then not being to a good quality, and then not being able to have any recourse when the person doesn't pick up their phone. So we are that company that came in and be like, well, okay, we'll take the responsibility to do a quality installation.
Okay.
And if the 3 CEOs of big companies, CEOs that are very knowledgeable, have a lot of information at their hands, are falling victim to this kind of situation, then we know that it's happening to a lot of other people as well. And so that's why we stand in that place and we say, we will take responsibility for the quality of the installation. We're responsible as well as we grows.
So for someone, Matthew, who's considering solar, listening to this, they want to switch to solar and they're a little bit hesitant, they on the fence, what advice would you give people to help them make that informed decision to switch to solar?
Sure. So I would say that the pain of not having solar is going to get worse, especially over this winter coming. We will see stage 8 load shedding, unfortunately, coming, in my opinion. Our projections show that we'll have stage 8 load shedding. There's an 80% likelihood from June onwards. And so it's no longer the case where we can hope and wait that load shedding will go away or just at least stabilize. Load shedding is projected to, according to our projections, double over the next 5 years and not decrease. And so we will have an average of stage 6 to stage 8 load shedding in 3 to 5 years' time. And it's no longer a situation where we can sit back and wait and not do anything. Now is the time for action. That's from the load shedding perspective. From the supply perspective, we've seen a decline in the price of solar panels, inverters, and batteries over the last 15 years until last year, where we saw kind of the decline turn and we saw demand internationally far outstripping supply. And the price of solar panels, batteries, and inverters actually started to increase last year. So we had a downward trend for 15 years, and then right now we're at the bottom. Now we're going up. And so you want to buy when the price is still at the dip, and not now. We're able to meet all the demand, and now the prices are just increasing. And at one point, like November, October last year, suppliers were increasing their prices every 6 weeks because of the demand that we were seeing in the country. So we don't want to wait, because it'll make the financial decision even worse going forward in 6 months' time, when everyone is wanting solar, because now winter stage 8 is happening. They're realizing we can't heat up food without electricity when you don't have power for 4 hours in the evening. So I wouldn't say it's better to wait. I'd say now is the time to invest in your solar installation, and when you do, you'll get a 4x plus in return on investment for your solar installation financially. So that's many, like, given a few reasons why now is the time to make the installation choice for yourself and take care of your energy needs.
Matthew Cruz, energy expert and head of business intelligence and public relations at Hohm Energy. Thank you for joining us on this episode of What's Next and sharing those energy insights. Thank you for, people watching this and they saw you talk about stage 8. I think you've spoiled some people's days, but hopefully that'll inspire people to kick into action, because certainly this is the way to go. Matthew, thank you for your time.
Great. Thank you very much. Good chatting with you.
Thank you.